Bam. Hello. It's 10:30. Time to get this show on the road. I may not have any views today. Not a good situation. Didn't set some things up right, and that's just the way it's going to be. Let's check the camera. Make sure the microphone's working. It says it is, so you should be able to hear me. Should you stop in on our wonderful, what is this, a Wednesday edition of the Deerwood Realty live stream? How are you? I don't know when you'll be watching this. I know you're not going to be watching it right now. I have a whole bunch of mess going on. We're going to talk about because that's what we do. Supposed to have my live stream at 9 a.m. It didn't happen. Well, why didn't it happen? Well, there's excuses, and then there's just like real life, and that's kind of what happened to me today. This summer has been busy. And I'm surprised. For instance, tomorrow, like I normally do my live stream at 9, but we're not going to do it at 9 tomorrow because I'm going to be doing something else, like early. But I'm planning on live streaming tomorrow at some point in time. It's kind of weird the way I have things set up. I have to do the live stream within a certain period of time so that I can set some other things up and during the day. But anyway, I do want to get into the debacle from last night. I was sitting in my recliner, probably around 10 o'clock. And my wife calls me from the utility room. Now, our utility room is where we keep our laundry machines. It's not secret. It's not anything like that. We have 2 washing machines and 1 dryer. I have it set up that way because I don't know. It seems like we can dry more clothes than we can wash. So that's why I do it. And so she calls me and she says, the dryer ate my dress and it ate the daughter's dress as well. I was like, well, I don't even understand that. How could that be? She shows me the inside of the laundry or the dryer, and it's like it's got this cord sticking out of where the lint is supposed to go. And then she proceeded to tell me that it's my fault because she would have cleaned the lint trap if I would have just given her, if I would have bought the brushes and things necessary to do so, which, if you know my wife, she's fun. I blamed her for having a dress. So yes, that's how that went. But anyway, quite the dilemma at 10 o'clock at night. We had these, we have to have a dryer. I'm not a certified appliance repairman. My wife has got no sort of certifications either, but for some reason we found ourselves taking apart the dryer. And I didn't think that would happen ever. I really never wanted to look at the inside of a dryer. I really never wanted to work on a dryer. I'm sure it's dangerous in some way. But anyway, we started and just started taking the dryer apart because we had to get to this certain spot so we could get this what used to be a cloth belt, and it's now wrapped around this thing. And so one of the things I wanted to teach you today that you may never know, and I don't know, I feel like I should have known, like somebody should have told me about it, is when you're taking apart a dryer, be careful to see if there's weights, like lead weights in the top of the dryer. When I took our dryer apart, one of those lead weights fell at least 6 feet down onto my foot. And it hurts so bad. Like, it hurts today. Is my foot broken? No. Does it hurt? Yes. Yes, it does. And that was like 10 to 15 minutes into the start. Now, I went to YouTube because that's where I go to find my information. I mean, there was nothing on my dryer on how to take it apart. Now that I've taken it apart, though, I kind of feel like I know pretty much everything in the dryer. I don't think I have any problems. Now, something electrical, like a component went out on the switchboard, I would have trouble. But as far as like just the pieces, it's not a big deal. So anyway, we work on this thing and we're taking it apart, and I know how to take things apart. Putting them back together is a little bit sketchy. So like what I like to do is if I'm taking something apart, if something has like 3 screws, then we keep the 3 screws with the piece we took apart. And we just do that over and over again. So the other thing is I kind of like to take apart things by myself, but my wife was already I think that she kind of got me into doing this because she had started taking the dryer apart. We got to the part that we needed to get to after hours of taking apart things, and started putting it back together, and everything went fine except for we have 2 screws that were supposed to go somewhere, and I know where they're supposed to go, but they don't seem to fit. So that's weird. And then the top is just a difficult top to put on. I mean, ridiculous. We're going to have to go and put that on again. Anyway, I quit about 1 a.m. Now, like, if you know me, you know that I like to at night chill. Before I go to bed, I like to relax. And taking apart a dryer and putting it back together isn't relaxing to me. Like it gets me kind of, I don't know, things start, moving, and I'm all like ready to go. And so, I can't get to sleep after we do this because now I'm all riled up because we just took apart a dryer and put it back together. And I never wanted to do that. That was never my, anyway, so I was tired and my foot hurt like really bad. And so when I woke up this morning, there was not a whole lot going on. I was kind of still asleep. So I figured rather than still be asleep, let's get ourselves together and get our live stream together. Well, that's a good thought. That made sense. But for whatever reason, you go, there's content. Okay. There's things that you would like to talk about. And then there's some days there's a lot of things like you can't even list them all. And then other days there's nothing. Today, there was nothing on Google News, nothing on Google Alerts that was in any way interesting to me. If it's not interesting to me, I don't feel like I can talk about it. Some things, like, I don't know about you. Well, I do. Like, I'm going to try and put this out there. I don't know if it makes any sense, but there's these topics in society, right? Oftentimes get a political bent, right? So what isn't political anymore? What hasn't been politicized? I don't know of anything. Okay. And so you'll see an article about something that'll be like, it's like, that if you talk about it, it's going to cause like serious, issues, like with people. Like if you have friends that think otherwise, like think differently, they're going to just maybe not be your friend anymore. And then if you do think a certain way, then like you'll have all these friends that you don't really want. And so I was seeing a lot of that today. There were a lot of things that were being, a lot of news stories, a lot of searches that were just things that I don't want to talk about. Am I doing my own form of deplatforming? No, not really. Not really. It's just not my thing. It's not my thing. And then you could say, well, John, is there any way you could define, what it is you'll talk about and what it is you won't talk about? I know you've talked about some pretty terrible topics in the past. And the truth of the matter is, yes, I have. It kind of depends on how it hits me. What have I stood up for? Well, I think the banning of love letters in the United States is stupid. Buyer love letters. I think the idea that you're going to ban those is so stupid. I'm totally against it. I think it's ridiculous. I think people should find better things to talk about. So that's a stance that I have within the business or the industry that I'm in, and it's not going to change. I don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what anything. The idea I'm concerned about, the idea or practice of bad appraisals being given to people of lower means or lower opportunity. I think that is so bad. Now, the evidence that I've seen that it exists, iffy. And part of the reason why is like, if you go like into, even if you look at today's market, okay, there was a house. I follow many houses for my buyers, and there's a house that's currently listed for sale that didn't sell this past weekend. And this type of house has been selling the first weekend for the last year. I mean, it's just like you put it on at this price, it sells at this price, and you're done. Now, you say, well, if that's so easy, why aren't you getting the houses under contract? I don't know. I don't know. It's a disaster, but it didn't sell. So, why? I don't have all the answers. There's been a change in the market. Now, has anybody reacted to that change? Gosh, no. So that's where I'm at on the appraisals is, has the market changed between the time that you got an appraisal and between the time between the time they gave the appraisal back to you? What is the deal? Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an appraisal. We'll do broker price opinions, BPOs. Those are typically like not very valued by anyone. So take that for what it's worth. So yeah, that's something I've spoken out about. I don't particularly think that's right at all. And I don't want to see it happening. I've spoken out against automated valuation models like Zillow. I think that they do more harm than good. Again, for people that live in maybe like, I would say rural areas where the comps are spread out over a long distance, and you have to have a very good understanding of the market and who's in it. What are the buyers in the marketplace, and then what has sold, in town. But a town could be like 10 miles wide. So I don't like these automated valuation models. I don't like the stock, the weight that buyers and sellers give to the automated valuation models. But at the same time, we know they're here to stay. One of the weird things that's been going on, not weird, but one of the interesting things that's been going on in lending has been, you can almost get a FHA spot appraisal on anything. What I call a spot appraisal, which is just like, they don't even have to send an appraiser out. They're just like, okay, you think it's going to sell for this? You think it's worth this? Okay. I think that's interesting. There's been so many houses in a particular area that they're like, okay, must be worth that. So on that one, it's be careful. Be careful with your valuation model. So anything else? Not really. So, are there topics that, and then do we have to talk about real estate all the time? I feel like I've proven at this point in time that real estate by itself doesn't garner a lot of clicks. Real estate topics don't garner a lot of clicks. Real estate houses do. If we can get real estate drama, yes. But as far as just a straight real estate news show, nobody's going for that on YouTube right now, and especially on the live stream. So we have to switch it up. And so some of the fun things is are there topics I know nothing about that we should investigate together? Come along with me on the tour. I think that's like a core tenet of my life. I don't know about a lot of things, but I'd like to, learn more about them. Just cursory knowledge, like when we talk about horse racing, I got nothing but, figure skating, women's figure skating. It's fascinating to learn about these things. Most animals, no idea. But I'm so used to everyone knowing everything around me. It makes me sick. I hate those people. I just hate it. And I really don't like people that make subjects complicated, so that they can put their own spin on it and then throw it right back at you. And you're like, not for me. So that being said, we talked about it yesterday. Are we going to drift away from the model that we started with? We're drifting away. Yes. Where is it going? I don't know. But anyway, I got up this morning and I was hurt. My foot hurts. Okay. I've got things I got to do today, and I know what they are. And I didn't take a shower last night, so I smell like. I mean, do you know how much? Let's do a public service announcement if you'll allow me. Do you know how much lint is like in your dryer? Like not even the stuff that leaves, but the stuff that's actually in the system. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's just like, it's caked on. You think of lint as like this, fluffy stuff, but man, it's not. It's this nasty, it's stuck on everything. It's terrible. And so all that stuff is on me. Like, I need to take a shower today. I have not gotten that far because I'm doing my live stream. But anyway, was it a success? Did I succeed in the mission to get the dryer to where it's working again? Well, I mean, I think we're at like 95% there. I still have to figure out the top, and I'm afraid to, because the top is where the lead weights are that fell on my foot. So that's a problem. And then those two screws, I need two screws that fit. And so, these are my issues. This is what I need to worry about. So anyway, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at for why I'm late. Now tomorrow, I'm going to be late, but I think I'm going to stream anyway. I like to stream. I like people to know a little more about me before they call. If you don't like me on my live stream, you're probably not going to like me in real life. And you probably should call some other agent. There's like 12,000 other agents to call in St. Louis, Missouri. I mean, you don't have, I'm okay with you not calling me. I'd say, like last week, I lost 2 listings to friends. It's like, And as far as buyers, love working with buyers. But I mean, most buyers are so beat up at this point. Like we just want a house, and it's just such a disaster. So that's where I'm at there. I think I want to talk about first. We're gonna kind of talk about large, overarching topics. If you hear that in the background, that's my wife running across the floor because she has to go to a meeting and be there at 11, and she is more than 12 minutes away from her job. So it ought to be fun. Anyway, I'm sorry. I have my office is in the basement, so when people are upstairs running around, you're going to hear it. Sometimes you're going to hear when the air conditioning kicks on because it's warm here. There, she just dropped something on the floor upstairs. But I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. I can't imagine live streaming, anywhere else. So, I mean, just clodding up there. It's hilarious. Clog. Sorry, I mean clod. That's dirt or clod. Wanted to go over some things that have gotten kind of on my nerves lately. I'm not gonna rant because I'm pretty well rested now. I'm just kind of getting out of my sleep. Although if the running across the ceiling, my ceiling, the floor upstairs keeps happening, I'm gonna lose my temper. I won't. Anyway, I wanted to talk about professional courtesy and how it's gone in this in this market. Okay. So here's an example of professional courtesy gone in the market. I have a house, okay, that my buyer wants to see. Okay. It's Sunday. All right. They say no showings till Friday. Make a decision on Monday at noon, and then it'll go under contract. Okay. We lose out on a house that was offers were due on Sunday. So this is now Monday morning. So I text the agent. I say, do you have any offers? Because if you have offers, you're probably going to go through with those offers. Totally fine. Text the agent. Hey, man, I would like to show the house, but if you have some offers, I won't show the house. Never even got a text back. I can't know if you have offers. Okay. Unless you tell me specifically you have offers for the property. I can't. It's not like I can go into our MLS and know that you've got an offer that you're accepting on the house. I have no way of knowing this. All I can do is text, or all I can do is call, or all I can do is email. And as a professional, what you would do is you would email back, you would text back, you would call back. But we've lost that. We've lost that. Why have we lost that? I have some thoughts. But let's continue. Let's talk about some other things that get under my skin in this market. Okay. One of those things is this. You have a listing come up. You make it active on, Wednesday, and you say that's no show until Friday. Offers are due until Monday at noon. Seller has the right to accept an offer at any point in time. However, they've instructed us to not view any offers until Monday. Okay, so you put that in the listing. House gets ready to be shown on Friday. All of a sudden, it goes from coming soon to pending. No chance to even show the house. You say, well, that was because some astute buyer and their agent got in there and wrote a contract that was so overwhelmingly good that they didn't keep it on the market. That's bull. You can't tell me that I have like 3 days to look at a house and then I don't have 3 days to look at a house. You say, well, my obligations to my client. Well, you don't know what your client could have gotten on the open market because you didn't make the house available for anyone. Now, here's the thing with me versus some other listing agents. One, I represent so many buyers that, I understand everything from a buyer's perspective. And one of those is like, look, many people work during the day. Many people don't have the opportunity to just because your house came on the market, they don't have the opportunity to jump. And you say, well, that's just too bad for them. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. It's not that they don't have the opportunity to jump for just your house. They've probably jumped for like 30 houses before your house. And so they cannot possibly be at every single house the minute that it goes active. It's just not possible. I mean, so that's what happens. And then, do they miss out on a house? No one cares, right? Because the seller got their deal. The buyer's miserable, but they'll go buy something else. Obviously, if they're willing to plunk down $500,000 on one house, probably do that on another. So professional courtesy there is, look, if you're going to leave the house open, if you're going to write that you're leaving it open for a certain amount of time, then leave it open for a certain amount of time. Now you say, well, I don't care about you, John. I don't care about, I want to be a professional. I want to make money. It's fine. It's fine. But to me, the professional courtesy that you show other agents makes the business what it is, at least somewhat enjoyable for those in it. See, right now, it's not that enjoyable. I'll never forget this idiot that listed a house. I think it's going to be in Fenton is where it was. I don't remember off the top of my head. He listed it like $60,000 too low, and he knew what he was doing. And so he got people just parading through the house for a whole weekend. And then, the offense that I thought was the most egregious is You have a different class of buyer going to this house believing that they have a chance to get it. And then they have no chance in the world because it's going to go for $80,000, $90,000 over asking. And then he writes, oh, it's a challenging market. I'm so sorry that your buyer didn't get the house. And it's like, you don't give two shits about whether or not my buyer got the house. And then he's like, I got 60 offers. It's like, oh, well, I wonder why. That's your professional courtesy there is, look, you're definitely required to serve your seller. It is not in the best interest of your seller to have 1,000 people go through your house on a weekend because you mispriced it by a lot on purpose. That guy was an idiot. If I ever come across one of his listings, I'll just tell my buyers, look, I've come across this guy before and he's an idiot. Take that for what you want. If you still want to buy the house, so be it. You say, well, you can't disparage another real estate agent. I don't know that that's disparaging him. I really don't. He is. Professional courtesy. There's little things that you can do. Like one of the things that I've seen other people really go crazy with is we have automated like signatures, like DocuSign, .loop, transaction coordinating software and things of this nature. And what people are doing is they're just putting the listing agent on the document. And so what happens is the buyers sign all the stuff. It goes straight to the listing agent, but it's all in one package. And the listing agent doesn't like that because he's got to move, or she has to move listings. They have to move their documents to their stuff. So professional courtesy says, look, if you're going to send over an offer outside of this system so that I don't have to download this weird software and all this other crap that I don't want. I just want to work through a contract. That's a professional courtesy thing. Some of the things I don't particularly enjoy on listings is some agents will say things like, you have to, first of all, they'll put in the disclosures, they'll put a note of how to write an offer, which is an insult, because if you don't know how to write an offer, then you probably shouldn't be in the business. Then that's not so bad. But then when they do their how to write an offer, they make it so that's how you write an offer for them. How do you make it easy for them? It's like, it's not all of a sudden now we're labeling things. That's garbage. That's garbage. Professional courtesy. If you have an alarm at your house and you're the listing agent, you should probably put down the alarm code and whether or not you think it's going to be on when the agent goes to the house. There's probably 1,000 different, I think even more different keypads. And I'm telling you, those keypads from 1977, before I was born, I don't understand them. Like, I don't know how to work them. When I'm first walking into a house, I'm just trying to find the screen, the nothing. Like we talked about this in a podcast, a year ago. In Michigan, a real estate agent and his client were put in handcuffs while he was showing the house because a neighbor called him a suspicious person because of the way they were looking at the house. They were essentially casing the house because they thought about buying it. Do you know how embarrassing it would be to be arrested at a showing? Because do you know how embarrassing it is if the alarm even goes off with that ear-piercing alarm? Ugh. So it'd be good to do that. Now, another thing on the professional courtesy is, look, if you don't have an offer, that's okay. That's okay. Okay. If you do have an offer and you haven't accepted it, that's okay too. If I'm showing a house and you have an offer on it and the deadline for the offer is like 1 p.m. and I'm showing the house at 10 a.m., there's still time for us to go back and write an offer. No problem. Right? But I mean, you have an obligation. If you've accepted a contract, it needs to go in the system as pending, like immediately. So I'm not wasting my time. And so you're not wasting your time either fielding calls. Up until that point, though, you're fine. Now, I've been dinged on professional courtesy. Let me tell you what happened so that you don't, I mean, I'm not above things. So here's what happened. At a house that was listed for sale, it went under contract. I put it in the system. I thought that the showing service that we used would automatically stop all the showings. It didn't. And so what happened was there was a showing still scheduled, and the agent was like, she canceled it on her own because she saw that it was pending. But I felt bad. That was my mistake, and I assumed that it would work out. In that case, something bad happened. I called the agent and I apologized. That's who I am. Do they care? I don't know. We had a situation this weekend where we lost on an offer, and I read the email that I got from the agent. There's nothing in that email that could help me and my buyers get a house under contract. There was nothing I could tell my buyers from that email that would have eased the sting of losing the house or losing out on the offer. And so in that case, did you even have to write anything at all? I mean, could you have just said, hey, there were 8 other offers and you didn't get it? Believe it or not, when I started in the business years ago now, I would be mad if we didn't get the offer. Like, what do you mean? And back then, like, agents were annoying. Like, you'd have these women that would sit and have coffee at a local brokerage, and they were just so bad. Like, for instance, they'd hit me on finance contingency. It'd be like, well, someone else had a better offer because of the finance contingency. And it's like, I'm at 30-year fixed with a rate that's higher than what's currently. And they're like, well, someone else changed those terms to even better. And it's like, come on. You both have a finance contingency. They were all excited about that. How they could tell their sellers that my offer was not as good as someone else's, even though it was for more money and it was better terms, other than the finance contingency. So I don't really have any. I mean, I don't know. If you're in the business long enough, you have every which way to be slighted on offers. So that's what I think about that. So why do I think professional courtesy is lagging? Well, one, there's a thing where, like, well, you were not courteous to me, but like a million times over. Like, you were not courteous to me. So, like, say you were working on a different deal and someone wasn't courteous to you. So do you extend the favor to someone else now when you're in that position? No. So that's one thing. Number two, you're a young agent who doesn't care. Like, you don't know that you don't even know that there's professional courtesy. You're not aware of it. You wouldn't have known. So that's why that happens. Can we do more to get it back? Yeah, if we put it in the continue ad, which I have to take June 30th is the date. If I don't get it done by then, my brokerage stops. So on top of everything else, I need to do continue ad this month, which is fine. Great. So that was my talk on professional courtesy. I've now told you a story about a dryer and professional courtesy. Let's talk about something that came across my desk the other day, last night, and I thought that we could go over it now. I don't exactly know how it's going to show up. Oh, that's not good. Let me fix something real quick. Okay. All right. Here we go. We're going to go here. Oh, And then I want to be, oh, I didn't think that was going to happen that way. I want to be right here. I like it this way. This is from the New York Post. You can see the headline: French financier jumps to death from the New York City balcony during an apartment showing. Sources. This is May 26th on the byline. I'm just finding out about it yesterday, the 7th of June. Let me go to that. I wonder why it automatically did that. But anyway, I don't think this is funny. I'm confused by it, and I thought we should look. So this is May 26th. It says a French financier jumped to his death from a luxury Manhattan high-rise near the United Nations Thursday while taking a tour of a unit with a real estate agent, police sources said. So the 43-year-old man, identified as, you can read it, plummeted from a 32nd floor balcony at 100 United Nations Plaza in the Turtle Bay neighborhood around 1:15 and landed on a third-floor patio. The French businessman, who was living in Brooklyn, was touring the apartment when he asked the agent to show him to the balcony and then suddenly jumped off to his death. Sources said he was pronounced dead at the scene. This fellow was a financial banker and graduate from École Supérieure de Commerce de Paris Business School, partner at Saltbox Partners, and had years of experience in the French and New York financial industry. He had previously worked as an analyst in the mergers and acquisitions group at Lazard and Frez & Co. in Paris. Coworker declined to comment when reached, but described him as a dear friend. He was quoted in a 2004 New Yorker article as an attendee of French Tuesdays, a group of weekly parties hosted for French expatriates in New York City. Now, this isn't funny. I don't want you to think that this is a humorous thing. I want you to understand that there's something that no one's talking about in this, and I thought I should talk about it. Let's see if I can do that. Like, I don't want to minimize what happened to the person, okay? Because they're dead. But what I wanted to tell you is that as a real estate agent over my career, I've had to deal with things that are like probably could send me to therapy. They're so bad. And like, I'm not getting paid for that. And I don't want to be flippant. I'm not being paid. I'm not, my like, people always think that my commission is too high. Like, sellers always like, well, they don't do anything. The agents don't do anything. They don't list my property. They don't know anything about anything. On the buyer side, why should I pay for an agent on the buyer side? I mean, you just go look at a property and you buy it. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. And so where I'm at right now is my heart is breaking for this agent that had to show this apartment from a couple different levels. Okay, number one, I don't know if the agent knew the man. Okay, but like, I know a lot of my clients, or I get to know my clients on a personal level. I know, like, if they've got kids, I know when their birthdays are. I know all this stuff about them. I know how their relationship works with their family. And for this man to jump to his death during a showing, like, if that other agent is a friend or something like that, it's going to be even worse. The damage is just going to be worse. Like, I know this may come across as strange, but there was a lot of things in the employment world that I didn't want to be a part of. I mean, I'll let you figure out some of the things, like with big pharma, with politics, things of this nature, and these jobs and how they're carried out. But I didn't want to have anything to do with that. My company is, we try, to help our buyers and help our sellers. And that's it. Our profit motive is there, but it's just not, it's not who we are. Um, and so I can only imagine this. We don't know the stress that this fellow was under. We don't know his mental health, but you have this agent that now is left with what? Okay, let me try to explain this in a way that hopefully makes sense. Now, I've talked about this for weeks. How I literally show houses over and over and over again, and I write offers, and those offers aren't accepted because there's 20 or 30 other people interested in every house we go to, and it's not rewarding. It's not rewarding from any perspective. I mean, maybe I get to look at some houses I wouldn't have otherwise seen, but it's still pretty tough. Now, think about that. This person here, this agent, we don't know if they're the best agent in New York City. We don't know if they're the worst agent in New York City. All we know is that the agent was there to show this property and be compensated at some point for that work. Showing the house or the condo, is it a nice place, or the apartment? How does it relate to others? How do we get this deal done? And so what do they get in thanks for that? They get to deal with suicide. Like that's what they get to deal with now. That's their reward. That's on their conscience. And I just find it to be in a long line of I would say things that people don't realize outside of the business, that people within the business deal with all the time. Let's go for another fun setup. You ever go to a house and it's terrible, and you're like, this is an awful house, and you look at the disclosures and there's like 7 names on the seller's disclosure? Well, that's because you're probably in a home that's an estate, and that agent now gets the joy of trying to get 7 people who are grieving over their family member to agree to sell the house. So what happens, do you think, when you send over a lowball offer? How do you think that goes over with the family? It riles them up quite a bit. And since you're the agent that's listing it, you get to deal with it. And you say, well, you get paid for it, and so that makes it okay. Well, I'm telling you, these situations you get yourself in, they're not rewarding. It's not a reward. Like, the money doesn't matter. You're dealing with people in their most vulnerable time. I had the unfortunate situation where I once was listing a house, and when I went to get the paperwork, my seller had fallen and had been on the floor, and we had to call the hospital or call the ambulance to get her out of the house. And then she ended up passing away before we listed the home for sale. Oh man. I managed to meet her sister, who was a wonderful lady, and who helped me through it. But man, it was hard to get up for days. It's not that I caused a death. It's that the fact that I had to deal with this situation within my business. So I think what I would say is, if you're somebody that, says prayers would be in order for this agent. They have to deal with something now for the rest of their lives. It's not going to be a story where they're going to be making light of it. I don't think. And I'm sure they might even be questioning, like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to continue to be an agent when everyone's going to know that I was the agent that, that had my buyer jump off a building while I was showing it? Now, I don't want to blame the victim. Okay. But I do know something that's very dangerous that happens in real estate. And that is when potential buyers call agents out of the blue. Agents may be starved for cash. Agents may be not thinking straight. And they go to meet these people they've never met before in private locations, and then something happens to the agent. I'm a very staunch supporter of, agent safety. I've covered it on my channel, whenever there's an incident that comes up, I've covered it because I don't want anybody being hurt. So far, I've known about there was the lady in Florida that went to show a property, single mom, and a former tenant was the one that called for a showing and then shot her. She had no idea. She was listing the property for sale. It wasn't even for rent. We have the fellow that helped an elderly man buy a house, and he got all the way to the walkthrough after he'd already purchased the house, and the man shot the agent and himself after saying that this house wasn't the one that I saw online. We had the woman that was attacked at the open house and beaten, her skull cracked with I think it was a pliers. I donated to that GoFundMe. I felt terrible. On that one. The guy waited for everyone to leave the open house and then just went in and attacked. So there is danger in our industry, and in this particular case, what was the motive of the victim that committed suicide? Was it just to waste someone's time? Was it just to waste the agent's time, or did something just go wrong, terribly wrong? I don't know. My point is we need to look out for agents whenever we can. I'm not asking for some sort of shallow gesture. I'm just pointing out to people that wouldn't otherwise know, hey, this stuff is dicey. Be careful. That being said, let's go on to some other things. I want to do this. This is the Deerwood Realty website, and I wanted to go over rates because I don't know what they are today. What do we got here? 5.48%. So we've dropped 2 basis points since yesterday. 5.5% yesterday was high. That's not good. But, better where you're at on a 30-year fix than be surprised when you go buy a house. I thought this was interesting. This came out in May. I know it's June. It's been a while. But I think we need to get some of this stuff cleared out. I've been trying to do newer. I've been trying to, I don't know how to say it. Maybe this is a better one here. Oh, no. That's terrible. I don't like that one at all. Well, where's the one that I like? So this one? Yeah. I've been trying to go through articles that I thought were somewhat relevant. And so this one I thought was a good one. Let's get to it. It says first-time home buyers are driving the market forward. Now, is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? I don't know. I know that many of my buyers are first-time home buyers. That's for sure. It says there were many factors behind the substantial increase in home buying since the beginning of the pandemic, including record low mortgage rates, shifting home buyer preferences towards larger living spaces, increased remote work opportunities, migration to more affordable exurban suburbs or cities, and greater investor activity in the single-family market. However, one overlooked factor dwarfs them all: the rise in first-time home buyers' purchases. Our key takeaways about first-time home buyers: first-time home buyers are the major drivers of the increase in demand. In 2021, Freddie Mac financed 554,000 loans for first-time home buyers, up 22% from 2020. That's the highest level since tracking began in 1994. While the rise in mortgage rates has caused affordability to deteriorate in the past few months, first-time homebuyer activity as of March has held up more than repeat buyers in this uprate cycle. I would say that's true. Most of my people that are buyers that are not first-time home buyers have stopped looking. The reason behind the higher demand is simple. It's all about demographics. The large cohort of millennials that first entered the job market in the mid-2000s is now in their early to mid-30s, the typical age range of the first-time home buyers. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing more people like in their late 20s. Furthermore, the number of higher income renters has nearly doubled over the past 10 years, so there remains a large reservoir of untapped potential first-time homebuyer demand. It says booming first-time homebuyer activity. In 2016, 1.9 million first-time homebuyers obtained a mortgage to purchase a home, representing almost a third of the 6 million homes sold that year. Just 4 years later, In 2020, the number of first-time homebuyers obtaining a mortgage to purchase a home rose 26% to 2.4 million, while overall home sales rose only 8% to 6.5 million. These numbers make it clear without the increase in first-time home purchases, home sales would have remained flat. To me, there's like a definition of a first-time home buyer on a lender versus, like, for instance, if you're divorced and you go buy a house, you're a first-time home buyer. So first-time home buyer activity continued to increase last year. In 2021, I did this one. Well, it's the same, though. It says they financed 554,000 loans, the highest level since 1994, and up 22% from 2020. Over the last 10 years, the first-time home buyer share of Freddie Mac's purchases rose from 36% in 2011 to 46% in 2021. Now, there you go. It's the definition of first-time home buyer. Year-to-date, mortgage rates have increased 2 percentage points, the most since 1980, but Freddie Mac's first-time homebuyer share is only down 1% from a year ago, versus an 8% decline for repeat homebuyers. While the increase in mortgage rates has had an impact on overall purchase activity, it's been less impactful on first-time homebuyers. Clearly, first-time buyers have not only been behind the rise in purchase activity prior to this year, but so far, first-time homebuyers are serving as purchase market buffer against the rising tide of mortgage rates. Let's look at this. It says the drivers of first-time homebuyer demand. I just want to check and see if anybody's in the chat. No one's in the chat, so we continue. The rise in first-time homebuyers over the last few years is due to several drivers. The primary driver is the initial wave of 25 to 34-year-olds entering the workforce. Okay. At the start of the 2000s, the number of 25 to 34-year-olds was still declining due to the smaller cohort of the Generation X demographic that came after the much larger baby boomer generation. In late 2007, the Great Recession began, causing a considerable delay in employment and homeownership opportunities for several years. The 25 to 34-year-old demographic regained its footing in the early to mid-2000s or 2010s and began a decade-long increase in employment, resulting in an increase in first-time homebuyers that continues into 2020. I was around during the Great Recession, but I think it's going to be even more recession this time. We'll see, though, right? Who knows? Another driver is the recent surge in first-time homebuyers was delayed by home buying activity by prime-age households. Homeownership rates around 25 to 44-year-olds with incomes of $75,000 or more were between the low and mid-80s for 3 decades before declining in the low 70s after the Great Recession. With incomes above the median, these houses should have been able to afford homes in most cities, yet their homeownership rate fell 9 percentage points relative to the last 35 years and still has a long way to go to recover. The decline in homeownership rates is due to a variety of factors beyond the long-lasting impacts of the Great Recession and the wave of foreclosures on homeownership purchase in the early 2000s. Notable factors include longer-term income stagnation, increased automobile and student loan debt, which I think is a big one, the student loan debt, delayed marriage, and declining birth rates. The combination of these factors made it more difficult for renters to save for a down payment, delaying their transition in homeownership. That's correct. I mean, when a starter home is $220,000, $230,000 and it doesn't get you much, got to rent. Don't want to rent. While some of these challenges remain, the number of 25 to 44-year-old renters with earnings of $75,000 or more has been on the rise in the last few years. Due to the strong labor market, this reflects a large and increasing reserve of renters with sufficient income to purchase their first home. Moreover, the declining mortgage rates in 2019 to record low levels in 2021 provided many who had delayed purchasing their first home with an opportunity to jump into the market. The combination of pent-up demand and low interest rates, along with hitting milestones like marriage and children, led more and more of these borrowers to pursue home ownership. Now, I think that there was also the child tax credit. I think there was I think there was cash given to people to get through the pandemic that maybe was kind of extra for them. Obstacles for first-time homebuyers. Well, first-time homebuyer demand is driving the market forward. The lack of supply of affordable entry-level homes remains a significant obstacle. We've written extensively on the overall supply shortage for the housing market. Our latest research on this topic highlighted that new construction of entry-level homes defined as single-family units smaller than 1,400 square feet declined from over 400,000 units in the 1970s to less than 100,000 during the 2010s. Look, 1,400 square feet, that's not the measure. I'll just tell you, it's not the measure. Square footage is never going to be the measure because, like in Afton, okay, 1,400 square feet is probably, oh God, 300,000 now. If you go to Brentwood, it's probably 350,000, 400,000. So you got to do it by price. Can't do it by square foot. And you may say, well, this is building new homes, and so that means, no, it's still price. Price drives all of this. Additionally, the lack of supply of new affordable entry-level homes is impacting first-time homebuyers' preferences between new and existing homes. Since emerging from the Great Recession, of the first-time homebuyers Freddie Mac helped purchase a home, only 11% purchased a new home, and prior to the Great Recession, 21% of homebuyers purchased new homes. This percentage is well below the levels in the 90s and mid-2000s before the Great Recession. Yeah, the building boom after the Great Recession didn't seem to be as robust for housing, at least single-family homes, as it was before. This is just something that I see. I don't know that it's anecdotal. Let's put it that way. The decline in the number of first-time homebuyers purchasing new homes clearly reflects a shift towards existing homes, which are generally more affordable. Existing homes typically sell for about 25% less than new homes, and the significant rise in home prices has pushed the already more expensive new homes out of the reach for most first-time homebuyers. Yeah, I can't imagine a first-time homebuyer affording a brand new home. That would just, a new construction home, that'd be just wild. This has forced a large wave of first time. Although what's weird is that when you look in a lot of neighborhoods, they seem like new neighborhoods. It always seems to be like younger families. So I don't know how that works. This is younger people. I don't want to be, if you're single or something and can afford a nice house, I don't want to paint you with a bad, a bad brush, but it's like, yeah. This has forced a large wave of first-time homebuyers to compete against other buyers for a limited inventory of existing homes. This is consistent with our research that shows that the existing home inventory is increasingly occupied by higher-level income households. The result is an insufficient supply of affordable existing homes to meet the rising demand from first-time homebuyers. A more recent obstacle to first-time homebuyers is rising mortgage rates, which further decreased housing affordability. You know what, though? They were at like 4 and 5% before the pandemic. I mean, really, it's been a mess. But anyway, these obstacles could further cause shifts in homebuyer preferences, such as the increase in demand for homes in locations more affordable than city centers, such as suburbs, rural areas, or less expensive metro areas. I'm not going to read the rest. I'm not going to blame the millennials for buying houses. If they want to buy houses, good for them. A lot of people like buying houses. We had the best market we've ever had. Combination of factors. We'll argue about it for years later. Well, I think I'm going to cut it short today. No one's in the chat. Welcome to put something in the comments. But yeah, I'm going to head out. I just want to say thanks for watching. I'll live stream tomorrow. I'll try to put it on Twitter before I do, so you know. And then we'll just go from there. So thank you for watching down the road, because you're not watching now. And I will see you tomorrow or the next day. I'll be back, basically.